So I finally watched all the Star Wars films, at least the Skywalker saga. And if you don't know, I'm making it my goal to go ahead and rewatch every single piece of Star Wars media there is currently, um, as long as they don't get canceled. But I'm trying to watch all the Star Wars media because as a kid growing up, Star Wars was my favorite franchise, and I find myself being at home a lot of times as a young adult. So, took it upon myself to go down memory lane and maybe experience some things I missed out on. Um, Now, I did miss out on the Rey Skywalker trilogy, which I wish I didn't get to, but we'll get into that. But yes, I did watch all 9 films. They're all 2.5 hours long. It's long. So it took me about a week and a bit, I want to say, maybe 2 weeks, I think a week and a half. After a few of them, I had to take breaks, mainly the Rey Skywalker trilogy. That one was rough. Anyways, just to start off, my thoughts and opinions. I do think the original 6 are the GOATs. Now, I do think every single film at least has one issue. There's not a film that doesn't have an issue in it. With episode 1, it's definitely the force speed. That was a weird one where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, they just use sound barrier move and they just skirt past the droids. But that was episode 1. Episode 2 had I actually don't think episode 2 had that bad. Now that I'm thinking about it, actually. Episode 2 was just, like, pretty solid. I think there was 1 or 2 parts with Padme, and, oh, was that the one where he says, I don't like sand?
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
It's coarse. Yeah, that's that one. Attack of the Clones. Yeah, I remember that. Yep. Alright, but it's not even that. Honestly, when you watch it as a full movie, that quote isn't even that cringe. But, yeah. It had a few weird lines of dialogue between Anakin and Padme, but that was pretty much it. Episode 3 had the notorious, wait a minute, we're smarter than this.
Ray shields. Wait a minute. How did this happen? We're smarter than this.
So that was interesting. Outside of those 3, you move on to episode 4. Episode 4 was just, like, really well done. I think the worst part, if you want to call it the worst part, was the implications between Luke and Leia. And then episode 5 made it a little bit worse when Leia decided to give a little smooch. Just saying. Little weird stuff for back in the day stuff, but it ages fairly well. Not the sister stuff, just the actual films. Episode 6. I can't think of anything really bad with it, so I definitely rate that one pretty highly. There's probably 1 or 2 odd moments you could think of in there. Maybe something to do with the Ewoks. But honestly, I thought all the costumes were really well done. I did watch it in reverse order, so I did watch episode 4, 5, 6, and then I watched episode 1, 2, 3. Wanted to do release date. I think it would have been better for my eyes, because I was expecting episode 4, 5, and 6 to be very poor quality, given the times, 1977, 1980, 1983, literally 20 years before I was born. So, yeah, a little bit of a rough state it was back then, but I will happily say, nothing but fond memories. All those original films, goated, masterpieces. I would watch all of them over again. I couldn't give any one of them below a 9 out of 10.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Maybe Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is actually my favorite, if you want to know. Just saying. But I will admit it is like not the best one as far as, you know, humor, as far as like everything goes. But I do think all of them are really, really well done. You know, the battles on Mustafar with Obi-Wan and Anakin, the plot line with Palpatine for the first 3 films, and then it linking to, you know, Darth Vader and everything. You know, Darth Vader losing a hand when he was Anakin, and Luke losing a hand when he was Luke, and so many good moments in the films. Like, to be honest, as a Star Wars fan, it was definitely the peak watching those films. I am aware that I think during episode 1 through 3, when they released, a lot of people didn't like them, which obviously ages like milk now. Those are some of the best films, I think, like, of all time, for Star Wars, at least. For Star Wars, okay? You know, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan or a Harry Potter fan, you know, you do you, just saying, you know? I'm a space guy myself, but, yeah, anyways. Seriously, I do think they are some of the greatest films I've ever watched. Just the quality, the storyline, everything is just so perfect. Even Attack of the Clones. You know, I've recently heard a lot of people don't like Attack of the Clones because they found it boring. I personally found it very entertaining. I just find the aspect between them very entertaining. You know, I'm fine with the plot taking a long time to cook as long as it cooks, you know? And a clone army, you know, starting the Clone Wars, which is probably my favorite animated film and one of the best animated films of all time. I'm gonna go rewatch it at some point, but these films were absolutely perfect, you know? But when it comes to the rest of the films, now episode 7, episode 8, and episode 9, oof, not good. Not good. Now, episode 7, I've heard from friends, I've heard from people I know, I've heard from many reviews that episode 7 is the best of the Rey trilogy. Having watched it, I can't agree. I just can't agree. Now, I've seen some 7 out of 10s, I've seen some 6 out of 10s. Force Awakens, I think, is genuinely like a 3 out of 10 movie at best. Alright, and you know what? For the first 10 minutes, I'm interested. You know, clone troopers landing on a planet, slaughtering a village, you know, Poe trying to take out one of the Sith leaders that has a red lightsaber that's unique. Right after he goes for the kill, you know, trying to get that snipe shot, gets force frozen, which is like a force ability, you know. This guy is intimidating. Kylo Ren, fucking terrifying, able to mind control people, or able to read minds, I should say, not mind control. But yeah, I mean, it was good. You know, Rey waking up on that desert planet, scavenging around for a little bit, you know, helping BB-8 from the scrapyard, or getting scrapped by the fucking, it wasn't a Jawa, I don't even know what the fuck it was, but whatever that thing was trying to take, BB-8, you know, rescuing the goat BB-8, probably the only likable character in all of these films, to be honest, BB-8 and maybe Chewbacca, but once they got to the Falcon, it's just when it just went downhill for me. I literally could not pay attention and take it seriously. Everything after the Falcon, it was just like, you're shitting on Star Wars by constantly referencing the Millennium Falcon as a shit ship, never left the planet, and then they're constantly breaking their own canon, which is a theme throughout all the films, you know? You had Finn saying that he was taken from his family, and then you have Admiral Hux, I think his name is, the ginger guy, the ginger admiral, saying that they bred them from birth, or they were programmed from birth. So, which is it, man? Do you have a planet of just taking children's for no reason? Or do you just clone them like a clone army or a droid army? Like, they can't even keep their own canon, which is just a theme throughout the whole 3 films. On top of just, like, making very stupid decisions, like hyperdrive while you're in a ship, That makes no sense. You know, a lot of the hyperdrive stuff, like hyper skipping and shit like that in the future films, terrible, terrible, terrible. But just in Force Awakens alone, up until the Millennium Falcon, I could give it maybe a 6 out of 10. And then 15 minutes into the film, after the Millennium Falcon, everything just goes downhill. Even Kylo Ren. I know a lot of people simp for Kylo Ren. I've seen it. And a lot of people defend Kylo Ren as like one of the better villains Disney's ever made. I'll be honest, I think Kylo Ren is one of the worst villains I've ever seen in Star Wars. Not only, he is intimidating when he has the mask on, for the 7th film. The moment he takes his mask off, he's just a whiny bitch. And he looks like he's about to like shit his pants all the time. No disrespect to the actor. This has nothing to do with any of these actors. Finn's actor, Rey's actor. It has nothing to do with any of these actors. It has to do with the writing of the character. I thought Kylo Ren was just weird. Like, he's supposed to continue what Vader did, but Vader saved the galaxy? He was the chosen one? He was always the chosen one? I thought every Star Wars fan knew that. Okay. I guess Kylo Ren is supposed to... I don't even know, because Vader doesn't even want to fucking... Even in Star Wars, Vader doesn't want to just rule the galaxy. He wanted Padme, he lost Padme, so he followed fucking Sidious until his son arrived. He literally just wanted to serve under Sidious, and that was pretty much it. But... I don't know, it's just weird. It was a really weird connection that they wanted to make. Now, if you wanted to have someone to be Vader, I think it would have been... A lot of the films were, like, really dog shit. Really, really dog shit. But, they always had one or two things that could, like, save a shitty scenario. Now, I'm not saying it fixes the whole film, right? But it would have saved one or two scenarios. I think a good example is, instead of Kylo Ren being... like, fixated on Vader. If you had Snoke fixated on Vader, it would make so much more sense, because he's trying to make Kylo Ren a Vader, you know? That would make much more sense than I think Kylo Ren being inspired to be the chosen one for whatever reason, and then never reference the chosen one. It just doesn't make sense. Big middle finger to everything George Lucas made for no reason. Average Disney. But outside of that, outside of the Kylo Ren Vader situation, once he takes off his helmet, he loses every single fight, you know? He tries to force something out of Rey, can't get it, and Rey is just perfect, knows everything, can do everything, smarter than Han when it comes to Millennium Falcon, can drive the Millennium Falcon alone, which no one could, I guess, except her, and she has zero flaws. Even when she makes a mistake, like she releases the Rathtars, she just knows when to close the door at the exact right time, and that exact Rathtar will snatch up Finn, and then not eat him immediately like he does with the rest of the crew. He'll just drag Finn until a time presents itself where Rey can then slam a door and cut off his tentacles. Makes a lot of sense. But, you know, yeah, once he takes off his helmet, he just looks like he's about to cry, and he's about to shit himself. Or the whole film. And then he loses every fight. He loses against Rey in terms of the Force powers. I guess Rey just knows what to do. That pissed me off so much. Not because it's a woman. I'm fine. Hey, Ahsoka, one of my favorite fucking Jedis. Alright? I'll say that right now. You know? And... Actually, I like a lot of the female Jedis, not gonna lie. Some of them looking, you know, kind of bad nowadays, you know, when you look back. Anyways, just saying. But Rey, she's just perfect in any way, beats Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren then storms off, gets yelled at by Snoke like a little baby, and then Admiral Hux is somewhat close to Snoke for some reason. It doesn't make sense to me. But okay. And then Kylo Ren proceeds to lose lightsaber fights to a stormtrooper. He lost a lightsaber fight, Kylo Ren, to a stormtrooper. Now you can say he's injured. Fair enough. But if you're a master at whatever the fuck you do, or at least if you're a training Jedi, Luke wouldn't fucking lose to a goddamn stormtrooper in any of the films. Anakin's not losing to a fucking a clone trooper in any of the films. Are you mad? Even when Anakin had his fucking hand off, I bet he whoops everyone's ass. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's one of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen. So he contends with this stormtrooper and barely wins, and then he just loses to Rey, someone who's never picked up a lightsaber before. You want to defend the stormtrooper and be like, well, he didn't technically lose. Okay, he lost to a woman who's never used a lightsaber before. She's not a Jedi. She doesn't know anything about the Force other than it exists, and he loses. All right. Maybe that's just the power of plot armor, but yeah, that's pretty much like what I got to say about the 7th film. The 7th film was terrible in my opinion, and it only got worse. Now, I do rate Force Awakens as a 3 out of 10. I'd probably rate Rise of Sky... what is it? Last Jedi? Is it Last Jedi? I think it is Last Jedi, right? New Hope. Return of the Jedi. Right? So it's Last Jedi. I think 8 is Last Jedi. Last Jedi. The Last Jedi was a nothing burger. And what I mean by a nothing burger is that nothing in the film meant anything at all. You could cut this film to a half-hour movie, and it would have been more watchable than what it was. 90% of the film could have been cut. The whole film starts with... Luke and Rey, where Luke just throws out this whole thing where Jedi throw away the Force, everything. One of the worst things I've ever seen in Star Wars. It should never ever come back. It is a terrible, terrible plot idea. I think we all agree with that. I don't think anyone disagrees that Jedi shouldn't be fucking throwing out lightsabers and rejecting the Force. I also want to say that this film tried way too hard to be funny with the Porgs, with the casino, with everything. It was just so fucking bad. It was so bad. It wasn't even like fun bad, you know? Rise of Skywalker, that was kind of fun bad. I had some fun. This 8th film was just bland, boring, and lasted way too long. Like, the whole film was just bad. Nothing made any sense, once again. And at the very beginning, it starts with a chase between the Empire and the Resistance, which I guess the Resistance are 4 ships. And then, 12 X-Wings? So, Empire just sits and looks at them and decides whether or not they blow up the Resistance base while they're, running away. And then Poe manages to distract them with some hee ha ha funny moments, goofing off in the X-Wing. It works, and then he's able to just solo a Star Destroyer. Like, he literally destroys all the turrets, and then they get the bombers, and then, like, a lady dies, and then fucking Finn wakes up because he was knocked out in the last film. Finn finds an Asian woman, and then it's their whole fucking, relationship for, like, half the film, where they go to different places, they try to find a smuggler, they find a smuggler betrays them, and then, they 1v1 Captain Phasma, and, win somehow. I guess Phasma is just shit, for some reason. And, ultimately, they do nothing. They don't turn off the shields in time, or whatever it was, so that Poe could do his job. So they did nothing. And the whole chasing sequence ends not with them running away, with... what's her name? Admiral Holgan? I don't even fucking remember. Purple-haired lady, that was introduced. Poe tried to do a rebellion against her, didn't work. For some reason. A lot of this film was just, like, no reason. Like, why did they go to a casino, get a fake smuggler, go to a ship, and the smuggler betrays them? So they didn't accomplish anything. They got the wrong smuggler, and they couldn't disable the shields. So, nothing happened. Alright then. Or disable whatever the fuck it was. Engines, I don't care. So nothing happened with Finn and Asian lady. Especially when they got to fucking The scene where they tried to remake Hoth, and they tried to have these snow speeders, and epic moment, Finn's gonna sacrifice himself, Asian lady saves him at the last moment, and then door breaks down, you know? Oh my god, I'm just remembering this film now. It's so long and so bad. Everything about it is just bad. I was gonna rate this higher than Force Awakens, but I don't think I can. This is actually like shit. This is so bad. It's just terrible. Terrible. It's so boring. The Jedi throwing away the saber, not training Rey, being a grumpy fucking asshole, squeezing out that juice. Like, it's so bad. Everything about this film is bad. Anyways, visually, all these films look great, by the way. So if you're like, wow, they at least look good. Yeah, they look good. But, you know, if you present shit looking like a flame mignon, it's still shit, isn't it? You know? But, yeah, it's just bad. It's just terrible writing. It's terrible characters. Finn's even worse than he was in the first film. He just doesn't make any sense. Just terrible. It's terrible. Terrible film. But, yeah, nothing makes sense. Poe does a rebellion against the new leader because Princess Leia can just survive space, and that's how that works. I guess in the third film they make everyone can survive space, so who cares? But Leia survives space, so they have purple-haired lady. And yeah, rebellion fails, doesn't do anything. And then Holgan, I think, decided to fucking hyperdrive right through a Star Cruiser. And, yeah. That was it, I think. Other than that, I guess the best part of this film was when they were fighting the Red Guard in the Red Room. But even that scene, in my opinion, is still like dog shit. I think if you watch back that scene, most of the fighting sequences don't make any sense, you know? And here's one thing I will say. The lightsaber dueling is obviously dog shit in the 7, 8, 9 films. The lightsaber dueling in the 4th, 5th, and 6th film wasn't crazy. It wasn't insane. It wasn't as choreographed as Yoda versus Dooku. It wasn't as choreographed as Anakin versus Obi-Wan. Not even close, right? And a lot of it is just overhead swing, parry, overhead swing, meat blades in the 4th, 5th, 6th film. My issue with the 7th, 8th, and 9th film is that none of them make any sense. Like, a lot of them are just goofy, and they look like an action sequence you would see in, like, a B action movie. Like, they look terrible. At least in the old films, the one in, like, 1980, maybe they didn't have the best choreography, but at least it made sense, you know? Overhand guard, you know? Just to, like, put in perspective, if you ever watch fighting, like UFC, MMA, whatever, there are things people do that might look stupid, but are actually, like, part of the plan. A karate stance in... Yeah, great example. Mixed martial arts. Karate stance... Actually, wait. Karate stance in mixed martial arts versus a Muay Thai stance in mixed martial arts. The Muay Thai guy is supposed to win 90% of the time, because a karate stance, you have your leg out, you're basically asking to be leg kicked, and a Muay Thai guy has shins of fucking steel, and he'll break your leg, alright? That's the whole idea there. So styles don't make great matchups, you know? So you can argue that the overhand guard, you know, can be attributed to, you know, Luke's style of fighting with the lightsaber is just weak against Darth Vader's style of fighting with a lightsaber, you know? Lightsaber forms match kind of fighting styles in modern day. That's where I connect the dots, you know? In the 7th film, or sorry, the 8th film, Return of our Last Jedi, none of the fighting sequences make any sense, you know? Like, when one dude's fighting, 2 of them are just watching and just not doing anything. And then the whip guy at least will grab the lightsaber and bring Kylo Ren close, or Rey close, I can't remember. And then he just gets his ass kicked. And all of these are supposed to be top-trained, you know, fucking royal guards, you know? It's just terrible. I think it's so bad. There was maybe, out of the 10 minutes I think they fought, 8 minutes maybe, could be less than 10. I think there was a minute where it was like, oh, okay, that was neat. That was cool. Other than that, the whole time I was just like, this makes no sense. Like, they're just standing there watching them. The swords aren't clashing properly. Nothing's going well. But moving on to the last film. This film, I think, took years off my life watching. It was the most painful movie experience I've ever had to watch. And I've watched The Borderlands. If you don't know, The Borderlands is one of the worst films of all time. I'm gonna say it. The Rise of Skywalker is worse than The Borderlands. I said it. But I had to. You know I had to. It's so painfully bad. And so long. And so very long. You know, from Lando just being on a random planet and being only around when Leia passes away. Okay. Leia just dies to die. Kylo Ren just dies to die. Force heal is OP as fuck in this film, apparently, and she just knows how to do it. Rey trying to grab a ship and then accidentally using Force lightning. It's just terrible all around. Rey being a Palpatine. Like, everything is so bad. Ugh. And watching this really tells me my main issues. Number one, BB-8 the GOAT. BB-8's the only watchable character in this whole film. Other than him, how was this ever made? How was this greenlit? How did Disney see this and be like, yes, very good, you know, release this in theaters now? This film is some of the worst. Like, it literally felt like if you took a Marvel movie and you spun it into a B movie and then you had a kindergartner write the movie. That's what it felt like. It was so bad. And all the actors I feel so bad for. Because I know a lot of them said they'll never work for Disney again. Kylo Ren, I'm pretty sure he said it. Poe said he doesn't want nothing to do with Star Wars anymore. You know? I feel so bad for them. Finn especially, I feel like that actor was done like dirty. You know? A defecting stormtrooper, great idea. A defecting stormtrooper that's goofy all the time and supposed to be a replacement for Kevin Hart. Get the fuck out of here. It's just terrible. The ending sequences are so bad. The final order being just a bunch of resurrected dead people, I think. Just a terrible idea, man. It's so bad. And my issue with all these films is you're trying to copy something. It's clear you're trying to copy something. You're trying to copy A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. It's so obvious you're trying to copy those. You're trying to get the story beats with the father-son dynamic between Han and Kylo. You're trying to get the fucking Palpatine being the main villain and being defeated, as obviously Return of the Jedi was. Just everything was so bad. I'm just thinking about it. I'm sorry. It's just, if you ever get the opportunity and someone's like, yo, you should rewatch The Rise of Skywalker, just don't. Just don't. Save yourself brain cells. Save yourself years on your life. Never watch it. It is some of the worst media I've ever seen. By far. By far. And if it wasn't named Star Wars and they replaced all the Star Wars themes with, like, something else, it might be passable. But everything about it, from the really cringe fucking relationships between everyone and Rey, like Finn trying to fuck her, Poe trying to fuck her, Kylo trying to fuck her. Like, why? Finn has an Asian lady, Poe has the fucking bounty hunter lady. Why are they still trying to chase Rey? Like, bro, come on. So bad, man. You know? And then Kylo dying, being resurrected, and then he can't resurrect Rey and just dies. For some reason. Yeah. Yeah. Genuinely made me question my life. I was depressed the rest of the day after watching that. I would rate I'd rate all the 6 films, the first 6 films, 9 out of 10s. Phantom Menace maybe an 8 out of 10 if I'm being objective. The Rey Skywalker trilogy, I would literally rate Force Awakens 3 out of 10. At best. Okay, that's generous. Alright. And that's only because I enjoyed 10 minutes of it and I was hopeful. Alright. But Last Jedi, probably a 1 out of 10. And I genuinely mean this. Rise of Skywalker, 0 out of 10. If I could get negatives, negative 1 out of 10. But I give it a 0 out of 10. I think every single human being is better not watching Rise of Skywalker than watching Rise of Skywalker. It is that bad. That terrible. Alright? It's literally like... It's like those challenges, you know? It's like those TikTok challenges you see where it's like, you know, double it, give it to the next person or whatever. It's like for Rise of Skywalker, they decided to, every 5 to 10 minutes, it was like, one of those situations where you're giving it to another writer. You have a film, you're making a film, and every 5 minutes of the film, you give it to another writer, you know? Or like watching one of those videos of like making a game in an hour and then sending it to the next person, and then they work on it. That's literally what it felt like. Nothing in the whole film made any lick of sense. Nothing made any sense. You know, Force Lightning destroying the only shuttle on the ship, or on the planet, where Chewbacca was supposed to be dead, and then he shows up on the ship, and then Rey feels it when the ship's nearby. Rey and Kylo having a link, even though in the second film they confirmed that Snoke was the one that linked them, so they still have a link for some reason. It's just like, ugh. And then the ultimate like raise of the middle finger you can give to George Lucas, just Rey at the end of the film saying, "I'm Rey." Rey what? Rey Skywalker. Just put a bullet in my head. That's all I have to say, man. It was that bad. It was truly that bad. It was that terrible. I can't think of another film that's even made me think of how bad it is. Like, at least with Borderlands, I can watch it and be like, well, at least Krieg looks cool. At least the Psycho looks cool. Well, at least they did good for the Bloodshots. Well, at least Claptrap looks on par. Everyone in the Rey trilogy just looks like shit. They're written like garbage. Nothing makes sense. The props look good, but that's literally it. That's it. The props look good and the environments look good. Which makes me wonder why it was even made. How are you gonna make the CGI look so good and the film just be so bad? You know? But hey, I got through it. It was a slog. It was painful. I'll never watch Rise of Skywalker again. Nor will I watch probably maybe I'll watch Force Awakens again in like 20 years and have maybe a different opinion on it. Everything else is just terrible. Everything. All of it. But first 6 films, goated. Now that I'm remembering them, you know, I'm finally happy. Don't want to put a bullet in my skull. The 6 films were goated. In my brain, it is permanently etched that the Rey trilogy is not canon. I don't care if Disney says it's canon. It's not canon to me. Okay? It's just not. You know, you can call me delusional. You can say I'm not living in reality. You can say I'm wrong. And you know what? I'll live in that world. I'm not accepting the fact that this exists. You know? It's like an MMA fighter when John Jones gets slept by Tom Aspinall. You know, trying to accept the fact that John Jones isn't the GOAT. Just saying. But, yeah. It's painful, man. It's painful. But, yeah. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. I wanted to get my thoughts and opinions on all the films. I thought they were all not great. In the Rey trilogy, they were all terrible. But the first 6 were goated. If you disagree with any of them, I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions, because I'm seeing a lot of mixed bags around the internet. So I'm fairly interested to see what anyone in my small, tightly knit community thinks. But yeah, made it to the end. Thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you have a great day.